Business Trends, the program that keeps you abreast of major business developments in the country and of course gives you an insight into doing business, especially in the nation's capital city, Abuja. On this edition of the program, we're opening up a window on small and medium enterprises. We'll be looking at some of the challenges encountered by SMEs in the country and of course seek opinion of an expert on some of government's provision to mitigate some of those challenges and how to scale through in spite of those challenges. With me in the studio to do justice to that is an architect. She's architect Khadijat Bisallah. She is a certified entrepreneurial manager and an alumni of Enterprise Development Center of Pan-Atlantic University. She'll be with me in the studio in a moment. And not to forget, this program is sponsored by the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, the agency charged with the responsibility of developing small and medium businesses in the country. Before we continue, let's take a look at this report to set the pace for today's discussion.
Brother, what's happening? You're not looking so good.
Life after school has been very difficult. Honestly, see, I can't even take care of myself. Look, I can't even shave. I'm so confused right now. I set up a furniture business and it collapsed. I'm beginning to think someone is after me. It could be from the village.
You know, I don't think anybody's after you. You see, business sometimes just need guidance and mentoring. See, have you heard of this agency called SMEDAN? See, SMEDAN is a government agency that specializes in giving business training to micro, small, medium level business owners.
Wow, John, hold on.
SMEDAN trains you, creates market for you, to link you with suppliers of raw materials to manufacturers and producers to consumers. SMEDAN facilitates agricultural commodity exchange and even promote Nigerian-made goods abroad and here in Nigeria. SMEDAN connects young entrepreneurs like you to financial sources so they can have access to loan.
John, I want to be like you. Take me to SMEDAN right now. Let's go. Wait, where's the way? Is this way? Let's go.
SMEDAN is located at number 35, Port Harcourt Crescent off Gimbe Street, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. It also has offices in each capital of the 36 states of the Federation. Or visit www.smedan.gov.ng. This message is brought to you by the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN.
Small and medium-scale businesses are those businesses usually privately owned and have few number of people in their employ. This type of businesses have been said to be the engine of industrialization on which developed nations rode upon to attain their level of industrialization. As this segment of the economy is receiving the attention of relevant authorities at this time to make it an important contributor to the socio-economic development of the country, Chidima Anson Agomo in this report x-rays some of the challenges being faced by small-scale business owners in Nigeria.
Experts say for any nation to thrive economically, the small-scale business must be given serious attention by relevant agencies.
With the situation we are in Nigeria now, like most of our graduates, people that came from tertiary institutions will be thinking of maybe white-collar job, thinking of employment, no job, nothing, but there are small-scale businesses that one can set and one can do, and one can make a living out of it.
The challenges we are facing, number one is power. Understand? Everyone that has such business without generator, you cannot perform. And even with your generator, there is no fuel.
Small-scale business have been found to be the bedrock of industrial development, which in turn afford youths the opportunity to be gainfully employed while reducing social tension created by unemployment. It also minimizes crime. In Nigeria, particularly the FCT, small-scale business owners have a lot of challenges to grapple with on daily basis.
The small-scale business, ordinarily, if there's an enabling environment, it would have been a very good, another good indices that will contribute positively to the growth of the country.
We have a challenges here. Firstly, about our light.
The people that are coordinating this thing, they increase the electric tariff because we are having, according to them, they say we are having central meter, and we are agitating for individual meter, that's the prepaid, that they should give every one of us prepaid meter.
It is believed that the improved power supply and assets funding are essential to setting up business. Hence the need for efforts to be geared towards providing basic amenities for business to thrive.
As I told you earlier that I will be joined in the studio to discuss issues about small and medium enterprises with a serial entrepreneur. She is a certified entrepreneurial manager and an alumni of Enterprise Development Center of Pan-Atlantic University. She's an architect and an interior architect. Madam, you're welcome today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now to set the ball rolling.
Yes.
We have small, medium, and large-scale businesses. How do we categorize this? What qualifies a business to be a small-scale or medium-scale and large-scale business?
So basically, it depends on what country you have the classification going on. But in most cases, you have, like in Nigeria, for example, what we have is, I think, basically a minimum of about 500,000 naira annual turnover. So it's classified as the small-scale business. And maybe 2 million and above, in $2 million equivalent and above, will be classified as a medium-scale enterprise. So if you look at the statistics, you will realize that most of the businesses we have in Nigeria today are more of small-scale businesses. We have very few that are crossing over to the medium-scale enterprise. And if you look at the statistics of what the turnover is and what the equipments they have, the value of equipments on ground, you realize that most of them are actually small-scale businesses.
Okay, but I even have a problem with up to 500,000 naira turnover, annual turnover. Do you think most businesses we have in the country have up to that amount? As
no,
turnover?
they don't.
So what do we
So we call them the cottage industries.
Okay.
So the cottage industries are those ones that are moving gradually, turning their hobbies into businesses. And you find them in small clusters around the country. And in most cases, until recently in Nigeria, they truly haven't been fully captured. So now the government is taking its time to capture most of these businesses because they are actually mostly in the informal sector. They're not bankable. Most of them don't have even business names. They don't have bank accounts. So usually you find them doing businesses, but really they're just cottage industries.
What's the place of SMEs, small, medium scale enterprises in the development of the nation, especially in the economic development of the nation? It's been often said that SMEs are the engine of development of any nation.
Yes. SMEs are the engine. Not often said, they are the engine. So in most countries where you find out that the SMEs are not pushed to perform at their optimum, the economic pattern of that country is at a low. So when you want to improve your economy, some of us are of the opinion that you need to ensure that your SMEs are performing at their peak. You have to give them all the assistance they need. You have to give them an enabling environment.
You talked about having an enabling environment.
Yes.
What exactly do you mean by that?
Government in most developed nations, there's a limit to how much government is involved in industrialization, and they don't actually take part in all these industries. They don't own industries. So they are regulators. So they give the enabling environment. So now you have the taxes. If you have multi-taxation in your system, then it's going to cripple the growth of that SME. And if you have certain laws that are not favoring the SME. The SME would have issues moving, issues owning space, issues on electricity, for example. If the government is not making all this easy for the SMEs, then the enabling environment for them to grow is not there. So that is where the government comes in, and that's where the government plays a major role in regulating what comes out of each industries, ensuring that everything is up to standard. So you have the standard organizations. If it's the drug and cosmetic, you have the NAFDAC. So once they all work well and ensure that this environment is working well, the light, everything, then you have the enabling environment for.
Yeah, okay, at least some kudos should be given to this government in its effort to develop small and medium scale businesses. But despite all the efforts put into, growth of small businesses, we still have a couple of challenges, like funding and this power issue that you talked about. What do you think should be done to maybe on the part of the government and even on the part of business owners themselves?
The most amazing thing is, if you look at it critically, we're a population of about 160 million, playing it safe. The government is broke. And it's not just limited to Nigeria. In most places in the world, you realize now that the government does not have as much money as they used to. But then, if they're churning out funds to power the SMEs, how much can they do? So if we're looking at it and we think, okay, the government should do everything, where do we come in? So we need people to augment the efforts of the government. So we need to take care of power, bring in the private sector, open up doors and ensure that they have alternative power supply, alternative to what we have and the overloaded government energy that is passing through. So if the private sector is open, then we have the power coming in, and then we have fundings. You have like Tony Elumelu, Oxfam, they're all coming in with funds for SMEs to augment what the government is doing. But we still need lots and lots of them. We just recently had a launch of Abuja Angel Network, which is a group of individuals trying to fix problems. Let's stop complaining. Let's do something about it. They decided they were going to do something about it. But then, how much do they have and how far can it go? So, but if we have more of them coming up, then we're going to have less of the crunch of funding for SMEs, and we're going to have more funds.
Now, that takes us to the issue of enlightenment.
Okay.
Most people don't even get to know some of these facilities available to them, either from the government side or even individuals, like this Tony Elumelu Foundation you mentioned, the Angel Network you talked about. People are not enlightened. What can we do to help people to get to know some of these facilities available to help them develop small and their small and or medium businesses?
Well, most of the qualities of a true entrepreneur is seeking for knowledge, is research and development. So if you need to find out what is happening, then you need to go into the internet, search for what is there on the internet. If you don't have access to internet, you can go to places like SMEs. SMEs does capacity development. You have other institutions that do capacity development for SMEs. So they go there, they learn, and you pick up vibes of all what is happening around. And sometimes in the newspapers also and radio. But you see, this is the age of social network. So most people will pick from Facebook, pick from internet, and find out what is truly happening. And once they Google, it's as easy as that. We have the phones. The phones we have are actually supposed to help us have an impact on what we do in our lives. Not just to chat and gist. We should learn to make it an informed use of it by searching, using the internet all the time. So instead of just WhatsApping and all that, all you need to do is just find out what's happening. Funding, SME, investment, Angel Network. And once you do that, you'll see them all coming down, because most of these institutions post online for people that are, because even the registrations are done online.
Before we go, one challenge being faced most often by small businesses is the issue of insurance protection, but it's not we don't usually talk about it. What do you think, what should be done in case of insurance for protection for businesses in this category?
You know, when it comes to insurance, most businesses need to be insured. All businesses need to be insured. Insurance against health of your workers, insurance against accidents, different forms of insurance. But then if you can't take, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So we need to research and find out what is the best one for our own businesses. Because we have every level of business and every income and turnover that revenues are coming to the businesses. So where does the insurance we're trying to take fit in? But it's really important. So really, every business must have an insurance cover. But are the insurance people giving us what we truly want? That's the question.
Issue.
Yes. So can the government ensure that they are giving the SMEs what they truly need? That's another point. So we need the government to cover us and say, okay, these are SMEs, they're not making enough. We need them to have so flexible insurance policy and don't cut their throat.
I think the issue of insurance is a discussion for another day.
It is.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure having you on the program. We've been speaking with architect Khadijat Bisallah. She's a serial entrepreneur, precisely an interior architect. She's giving us an insight into small and medium enterprises in the country. And moving on now, let's have some tips on government's provision for small and medium-scale businesses in the country. And after that, we'll get to see trending issues in the business world. Don't go away.
When you want to go into any business venture, it's good to consult us so that we'll be able to advise you. We'll be able to help you with some market intelligence so that you even know whether what you want to go into with something that will be profitable, with something that within a very short time you will be able to realize your dreams. You know? So these are some of the things our entrepreneurs take for granted. And then when you're even already in the business, we provide business development support services so that we can get our officers to visit your business to find out how are you doing, are you making progress, or you are just existing. You are not moving from point A to B. You are an entrepreneur, you go out every day, you are into production, truly you are selling. And all the money you are getting is just to pay back loans or just to survive. You know, we may be able to take you further, you know, by through business development support services. We will let you know where you are erring, where you need to put more energy. We may even now get you to work with other entrepreneurs to source your raw materials so that when you source your raw materials as a team, you are spending less than when you are doing it alone. Some of these things our entrepreneurs take for granted. And these are things that SMEDA can help you do.
Basically, most of the things that we do is business development support. And business development support is in terms of extension services. Trying to educate people, try to visit their businesses, try to do whatever you can do to support them, try to look at their challenges, why they have challenges, why it is difficult for them to access. If they come to us, we'll open the door for them. Because even if it is finance in BOI and the rest of it, we can send a letter to BOI to give them consideration. If they have challenges with NAFDAC, if they have challenges with SON, if they have challenges with all these organizations, SMEDA can serve as a vanguard and try to write to those organizations, engage those organizations so that those problems can be solved.
now time to look at trending issues in the business world. The Monetary Policy Committee has maintained the status quo of the monetary policy rate for the 10th consecutive time, leaving the monetary policy rate at 14%, cash reserve requirement at 22.5% and liquidity ratio at 30%, with the asymmetric corridor of plus 200 and minus 500 basis points around the MPR. Briefing journalists after the Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Abuja, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, said the move was to sustain economic stability of the country. Nigeria's gross domestic product grew by 1.95% year-on-year in real terms in the first quarter of 2018. This shows a stronger growth when compared with the first quarter of 2017, which recorded a growth of negative 0.91%, indicating an increase of 2.87 percentage points. The oil sector contributed 9.61% to total real GDP in the first quarter of 2018, up from 8.53% and 7.35% in the first quarter of 2017 and the fourth quarter of 2017, respectively. The non-oil sector, on the other hand, grew by 0.76% in real terms during the period in review, driven mainly by agriculture sector and mainly full crop production. Not to forget that Nigeria's inflation stood at 12.48% in the month of April 2018. This is 0.86 percentage points less than the 13.34% recorded in March 2018 and represents the 15th consecutive disinflation since January 2017. The National Assembly has passed 9.12 trillion naira 2018 appropriation bill, apart from a 6% increase in the initial quantitative value from 8.6 trillion naira and the change in oil benchmark from $45 to $51 per barrel. There was no significant material change in the budget. The appropriation bill is awaiting presidential assent. Brent crude briefly breached $80 per barrel this week for the first time since 2014. Although it is facing resistance at that level, both oil and gasoline prices have continued to rally this week, with Brent breaking briefly the psychologically important $80 per barrel mark and gasoline prices moving towards $3 as driving season approaches. U.S. crude hits its highest level since 2014 on Monday amidst rising concerns that Venezuela's oil output could fall further following the country's presidential election and potential sanctions on the OPEC member nation. Oil prices firmed further as U.S. and China called for a ceasefire on their trade war. And finally, let's see what's trending in the marketplace. Patricia Philip-Gbedayi was on a survey of Dose Market, one of the major bush markets in the FCT. Let's see what she brought.
Welcome to Dose Market, one of the local markets in the nation's capital. We are here to ascertain the prices of food items in the market.
Dose Market comes alive as early as 6 a.m. every Monday, with hundreds of traders and buyers from different parts of the FCT and environs. The market, which is one of the oldest in Abuja, have different kinds of local food items. For some buyers, the market is a choice of destination for shopping.
I'm doing my weekly shopping. This is the regular market I patronize. I'm from Gwarimpa area. It's more expensive in our area there than this place.
Things are cheaper here, especially the Monday markets. I choose here because it's a little bit cheaper here than like we stay in Kubwa. It's higher in Kubwa. Like this one you are buying 1.6 here. In Kubwa maybe you buy it 1.8, 2,000. So I decided to come over to this place.
For most of the traders, some of the food items on display are sold at lower prices.
If we reach bush, we buy this one, 1.5. We go even beg before they agree put 15 naira for us. Ogbono day cup 300, Mudu 3,000, Ado 3.5 last.
I'm selling red oil that I used to measure it in bottle. The price is not too high, per gallon 11,000, by bottle 400.
Some of the food items on sale at the market include local rice, gari, beans, locust beans, fruits, different kind of vegetables, as well as livestock.
And
on that note, we call it a wrap on today's edition of Business Trends. We do hope you enjoyed every bit of the program. If you did, then make it a date with us same time next week on the same station. I am Sikeola Ipinnaiye. Till then, it's bye for now.